Muhammad, welcome to the pod.
Hey man, how are you doing? I want to say this by the way. We've been friends for a long time. We've been chatting on Telegram. We have like mutual friends, but we never had the chance to have a call together. So it's really amazing to see. It's an amazing excuse to have you on the call and see your pretty face, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's just such a weird thing. Like we think it like every other day we're chatting, but never got to meet and
Exactly. Exactly.
just have a video call. Um, all right. So just giving some background to the audience. Um, actually, why should I give it? But I'm just gonna give a little intro to the audience that you are, I think, like 21.
Yeah.
You're an
Like 2 months in.
amazing
Like we
two
like
months in.
you gotta wait 2 months, you know.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
this Apple thing just came up.
Yeah. Um, so you've done amazing job with your GitHub and
Thank you.
all these, like,
Thank you.
participating in all these GitHub projects. So, why don't you just give us some background on what do you do? Just tell me who you are, basically.
Yeah, sure, sure. Well, I'm Mohammed. Uh, I'm 20 years old, like 2 or 3 months where I would be 21. I started development in 2018, web development specifically. Like prior to that, I've been doing C++, Java, and all this weird stuff, which like didn't hold because it was really hard for me as a, I don't know, like at 13 years old, 14 years old, or the 15, I don't know, like I'm not sure. But I started web development in 2018 and it was pretty good. I had friends like Mahdi Akbari. I had friends like Hossein Shabani, which helped me so much in this path. And basically gave me projects to work on from the start of my like journey because I tweeted about it like a day ago. I started with Svelte and then I switched to React. So Mehdi Akbari was on the Svelte side and Hossein Shabani was on the React side. So when I switched to React, I got projects from Hossein. And yeah, I was working in that space mostly. And then Hacktoberfest came on, like 2019. I still have the T-shirt from them. Hacktoberfest came on, and this basically got me to the open source world. I just wanted to spam some pull requests, but I don't know. At that time, it was hard to spam that. So I came across Jotai. So that was one of the state management projects by Daishi. He taught me so much. He's basically my mentor at this point. So I came across that project, and this just gave me the momentum. Man, this Apple thing just comes up here and there. But it gave me the momentum, and basically from that time I've been into the open source development thing. Like Jotai got me into Poimandres. Poimandres got me into Vites. Vites like led me to founding Tiny Libs. And it's basically that momentum that got me where I am. So yeah, that's an introduction. I hope it was useful to the audience.
Yeah, it really is. So I know about some of these projects that you mentioned. Could you give us like a brief introduction on each of like these like the prominent projects that you've worked on in the
Yeah,
open
yeah,
source
yeah,
world?
yeah. So basically, uh, my journey into open source started with React, and it was with React. So when I got Jotai was like literally a React state management library. So that was my opening. So Jotai as a state management library, and it's like an atomic thing. It was a new approach to state management, and I was curious to it after a while. So it got me to like maintaining Jotai, you know. So that momentum with Jotai led me to joining Poimandres, which is like the whole organization behind Jotai and all of the other like cool libraries in the JS ecosystem. So like developing Jotai led me to like Valshu and Zastan. And basically Like I was a student to Daishi. I did everything Daishi did at that time, which was mostly state management.
Okay.
And like a year or two, I was into that space, and that space, which I got, I gotta say, I got pretty strong into the open source world. So it gave me the confidence to contribute to other projects. So V came, and that started another journey in my like career. And this led me to VTest, which is a testing tool. It's another open source project I started maintaining for a while. And yeah, so I came from state management to VTest, which is around testing and stuff. And while working on VTest, we we saw that some dependencies were missing. They were either bloated, they were like many megabytes. So we thought, let's minimize them, have them smaller. And that led me to starting Tiny Lips with Tiny Pool, which is like a thread pool management, like Node.js, hard technicalities. So that got me into that space, like founding tiny libraries in Tiny Libs, which from after Tiny Pool, we did Tiny Spy with Vladimir, which is like for spying in testing and stuff. And I think after that, we started Tiny Bench, which was for benchmarking utilities in B-test. So it was always some different random stuff while working in open source. So this is just an overview of what I did. So yeah, I hope it was enough. But I also worked and I'm working on another packages and another libraries right now. So all the things
Mm-hmm.
that I said are not my current focus.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I'm gonna get into package. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Package PR new,
Yeah,
or package
yeah.
new PR.
Thanks, Johnny.
um, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna get into that later because I think that's a really good success case of yours, and also like what it seems to me like your main focus right now.
Yeah.
Um, can you just walk me through the typical process when you decide, okay, I'm gonna contribute to this repository. So like what happens when you say, okay, yeah, well maybe I should change this. Maybe I should submit a PR.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. So we have like two different stories of how I started and how I do it typically. From how I started, as I said, it was Hacktober first, and it was primarily for like being kind of
the
open
T-shirt.
source.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was like it was cool as a developer, being an open source developer, famous, like people submitting issues to you, you fixing them, you tweeting about them. That was pretty cool, and especially not many folks around me did open source, so it was something that I really looked up to. So it was completely for the status thing. It wasn't like a obsession or a spiritual motivation behind it. So that's why I say I wanted to spam PRs at that point, but I couldn't. So that's the good part of it. That led me to reading the source code of Jotai, and it was one of the hardest things to do at that time, which taught me so much. That's how I did it at the time. Basically, like finding some good first issues, contributing to them, like reading the source code. And the hack that I did at the time was going into the Poemandris, which is like a Jotai Discord, and chatting with Daishi. Like I told him that I'm just starting out. Like I really need some help. So bear with me. Like you gotta wait and let's do some stuff. That was, I think, the overview of the whole story with Jotai and Daishi. So the hack that I did is that I messaged the author and asked for some help, like genuinely. So that's how I did it at the time, and that's the trick that I tell everyone to do. Just contact the maintainer on email, on Discord, and ask for help, like genuinely, because you need it if you wanna contribute. But typically, right now, the way I like send random PRs to random projects on GitHub is that I really use them. So, and pretty much when you work in open source, you pretty much like hit the edge cases of any project. Because you're doing an edge case, you're handling an edge case with your library, so you're going to hit an edge case in another library too that you're going to use. So I hit that edge case. First, I create an issue, and I just see the vibes of it, you know. I just pay attention to that. If I really love to send the PR, how much work is going to be, and if it's like a small thing, I would just do it. Why would I bother the maintainer? If it's too much work, then it's a bit of risk for me because I'm not that onboarded on the source code, and it might take so long, like way longer than the maintainer does it. But if it's really cool, like it seems cool to learn, I would just do it myself, even if it's hard. But yeah, that's the whole process. That I use some stuff, I hit the edge cases, and then I would just send the PR and first create an issue. By the way, I just don't like send the PR randomly. First, I have to, and everyone has to create an issue because you gotta let the maintainer know of the whole process. So yeah, that's the totality of it. I would recommend, like I actually tell my friends to hit the edge cases, like go deep into something, and when you find an edge case, go just contribute to it. Go fix it, because no library is that perfect. Like everyone is kind of open to contribution, except some project, whether the project is really mature or the maintainer is not looking up to like continue working on it. So everyone has the chance. You just got to pay attention to the details and the edge cases, as I said. So that's the total story, like of how I used to do it and how I do it now. Basically, it's completely based on like how cool it looks. If it looks cool, I would just do it, even if it's hard. So yeah,
That's a really cool metric, you know, like I mean you might say like I mean it might not logically make sense, but um yeah, like
exactly. Yeah,
intuitively when you like there's a threshold in you that says like when it has to be this amount of cool so I could do
exactly,
it. Like it's
exactly,
some like you must see some reward in it. So you go ahead
exactly.
and do the
Yeah,
work.
like some you know, when you like read articles on or blog posts on evaluating things to work on, they put some weird metrics. They like say do this, they calculate this. That for me it doesn't make sense, because there is some coolness to something that I work on that I literally cannot explain. It just
Yeah.
sounds cool. Like I say, oh, imagine if I land this and I share it on Twitter, or imagine I land this and it helps my project in that way. So I would ship my project sooner than later. It's like an amount of coolness there is that you cannot explain, and you need that to work on something that you are obsessed with, you have obsession in. So it's not at all about calculations and stuff. It's just for the say take amount of like shipping, just doing this thing. So yeah, that's the totality of it. I don't think there are any uh, like mathematical metrics around it. It just, if it sounds cool, let's just do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. Um so like one of the things that I've noticed with especially like popular libraries, like the ones
Yeah,
that I have like at least 1,000 stars on GitHub. Just
yeah,
like a metric that I came up randomly, like that
yeah,
might not be true. But like
yeah,
often these are quite like the code base is quite complicated, and it, as you alluded to, it might take you a while to just like get onboarded and just see how things are. Um, so I got so like first of all, like how do you do it? Like how do you do you just do you like literally clone the repo, then open it
yeah.
on your like editor, and then just look at the files and see how things relate to each other? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Like, first of all, I love the 1,000-star threshold. In the next interviews, I hope it just goes up, because this is my current threshold. Like, in the next one, it might be more, or the
Yeah.
like next interviews with the next roles, it might be even like 10K for you. So
Yeah.
that's a good metric to say. But on onboarding, it's just a matter of breaking things. I would say if it's an issue, it's a bug in the library, and as I said, it sounded cool to me to fix, I would just reproduce it, first of all. Like right now, reproductions are mostly what I do. I would just reproduce the issue and create the issue for the maintainer. If the maintainer doesn't take it, I would take the issue. I would like solve it. But the first step, I would just reproduce the issue. And my magic trick, like especially like a year or 2 years ago, is using the debugger keyword and the Chrome DevTools. So that's literally like before breaking the library or the tool that I'm using, I would like a line before, I would put a debugger, and I would literally see how the JavaScript VM acts like around this issue. Like you would go line by line, where it fails, how it fails. Right now, I mostly check like source maps, which we have this bundled JavaScript that you kind of need to connect to its source code, so it gets to be cleaner and easier to debug. So I also check source maps, and I would clone the repo, exactly as you said, and I would go to those files, like where it fails,
Mhm.
like how it fails. But if it's like bundled JavaScript and it's some like gibberish thing, I would just connect it to source maps, and just debugging would be enough. But yeah, exactly. I would just clone the repo, and I would to go to the related files. I kinda, like most of the times, I never start with going to the index.ts or index.js file. I would never do that, because like that's the entry point to everything in the source code. It's like 100 modules or like 10 modules there. Like you kind of get lost. But I would rather go to the related files, because that it would make it really easy for you to focus on what matters for that bug rather than the
Mhm.
whole source code. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I get onboarded. I would just break the library, and I would just put a debugger, like some console logs, clone the repo, and I have some other magic tricks. Like one is PNPM link, which I would just connect the repo that I just cloned to the app I'm developing, and where I hit the bug or the reproduction that I just did. So I would just connect the repo, so you can go to the repo files, the actual source code, and debug it there, rather than based on some uh, some bundled JavaScript. They do not have that much control, and especially with like PNPM link, when you clone the repo, you can make changes. And since the repo is linked to your reproduction, the changes would be reflected after some like PNPM build or LPM build or anything. So it's kind of a good feedback loop to have as a maintainer, as a developer. So like I suggest everyone to like pay attention to that feedback loop. If you can make changes and they will be represented into the reproduction, then everything is easy for you at that point. Like you don't have to do that much. You just need to try the different cases, like fail, like from different point of views, rather than just like seeing it fail, or trying different values instead of the original value. So it's a matter of breaking things, like fixing them. Like it's just like a puzzle. I think it's more about putting time rather than being a genius or having an IQ, because I'm not, they say a slow thinker. I'm a slow thinker. Like for me, it takes so much time to figure out an issue. Like literally, it takes like 8 hours, 9 hours for me to debug something, where I literally have
Mhm.
my friends that they can figure it out in an hour. But I still have the ability to fix those issues, because it's more about putting time rather than like finding a specific solution or or I don't know, a random magic trick that would help with the code. It's just more about like handling the different cases, like trying different things and see how the library behaves. And when you try different values, when you try like different edge cases, you would see how the library handles that value from like different functions. So you initially see like after many hours of debugging, I think it's, there's a chance that you'd understand all of the source code. Like you start with nothing, but debugging a specific issue would help you be
Mhm.
onboarded on all of the source code. And basically, the blocker PR is your first PR. If you did the first PR, then the next PRs would be easy. So there's a high chance that you would be a maintainer of that library, which is so time consuming and hard. It's not that easy.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I mean, I didn't do. I mean, I've never contributed to like any other major repository, but the reason why what you've just shared resonates with me is that in my work, like um in like every project that I've worked on, when the code
Yeah.
base is large,
Yeah.
and then like you know, you might be familiar with like some aspects, some parts of the code, but some
Exactly.
parts might be quite unfamiliar to you.
Exactly. And they're
Um,
scary, you know?
yeah, they're scary, but like once you just start with fixing a small issue in that particular domain,
Exactly.
then you kind
Exactly.
of start to see like how things relate. Um, but one thing that I don't, I guess would be my question is that this this looks like this makes sense if you're fixing an issue, but I guess it would be like, what if you're adding another feature? Like, there's no issue, but you're adding another feature. And
Yeah. Yeah.
my gut tells me that you, um, a lot of times you fix an issue first and then do
You
the
added,
feature.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you're already familiar with the code base. Um, but yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah. 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 That completely makes sense. It's an edge case in contribution itself. But the thing is, no new feature is that groundbreaking, I think. I think any feature you add to the library comes like from an inspiration from the library itself, or the library has another feature that looks like this, which you thought like adding this new feature would be cool as a similar thing. Like there's some relatability, there's some connection between a new feature that you're going to add and like a previous feature that's been like landed years ago. So what I would do at that point, that's what I do mostly, is on understanding how a similar feature would work in the library itself, like that has been landed before. So I would just like write a reproduction. Basically, it's not a reproduction because it works. It's like it's a test case. That's why tests matter, you know, because you would go to those tests like it's an edge case that feature handles. You would go there, or you can just copy that test, put it into a stack list, like the container. Then that's a good promo, you know.
Okay.
I don't know. So
Good
you
plug.
put it
Yeah.
exactly, uh, or you put it into your editor, that test case from the feature in that library, and then you would run it and see how the library behaves with that test case, with that reproduction, basically. And if you understand how that feature works, it would just give you like 100% clear overview of how you're going to implement the new feature. That's basically was the story for me on all of the new features I landed, and it would just become clear to you at some point after like studying how other features might work. Yeah, there are like edge cases to this. It doesn't work always. For instance, when I did the like a few years ago when I was like experimenting with VTest browser mode. It was like totally new thing to VTest. And that's why I was scared that it might not be landed. It was literally an experiment. And that
Mhm.
experiment took, I think, 2 or 3 months at the time. So it's either you study a feature, you get landed, or if it's really new, you kind of should expect that it's going to take a lot of time because you're going to basically going to just experiment. There's no entry point. There's no uh, like a roadmap to the feature you're going to do because it's so new in that context that you just need to embrace the time you're going to spend on that feature. And in my case, it was like 2 months. It was 3 months. So it's either there was like a similar issue, similar feature like before, or if it's really new, you just gotta like spend some time and put the time on actually working on that feature.
Yeah. What is? Yeah. This totally makes sense. It to me, it's a bit, kind of scary. But and I wanted to ask this before we jump into package PR new. Um, the so like you mentioned that
Yeah,
whenever you want to do any contribution, you first like you file a new
yeah,
issue, you let the maintainer know. Um, it um, I think like it's a bit of a risk because like it might happen that the
yeah,
maintainer is like, I don't care about this feature, or
yeah, 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 yeah.
and you might go on a rabbit hole to try to figure out what's
Exactly,
the best
exactly.
solution to that issue or that feature. But then the maintainer like doesn't want to do that, or like doesn't want to allow your PR, or so like how first of all, like how do you like, I think you mentioned it, but just one more time, like explicitly, um like what's the process? Like you say
Yeah,
you
yeah,
file a
yeah,
issue, and then um another point is that like how do you manage your time between all these different projects that you're working on?
yeah, yeah,
Because you're doing all these like contributions. Like, how do you do it?
yeah. For, like first of all, it needs you would need you need some experience on whether to know the author would want it or not, that feature that you're going to implement. That's why I say first create an issue. Create an issue doesn't necessarily mean, I don't necessarily mean that you just create an issue in GitHub. Like most of the times what I would do, I would just contact them on Discord. Oh, hey, like X, I really would love to implement this feature in your library because we need it in our own library, in our own app. So what do you think of it? Like how we're going to process it? Like what's the whole roadmap there? And most of the times, uh, they would just say, "Oh, let's do it that way. Let's handle that case because this case doesn't matter that much. Then maybe let's refactor some part of the code here." And they would like genuinely help. That's a
Mhm.
that's a trait of most of open source developers. So uh, aside from me, like I don't want to say good things about myself, you know. So it's mostly about like the contacting that open source developer and see whether they show interest or not. Like I literally in those Discord like messages and like emails or Twitter messages, or lately I've been like using Blue Sky messages. I would it's a sales call kinda. So I would just contact them. I tell them like this looks really good. If you would like land it on your PR, on your project, let's do it. Like just give me some hints. I would just implement for you completely. And so many times I would just get the no. It's like is the right of that maintainer to say no to other features. Like they may not be that interested. And so many times I get DFs and I would just like send the PR, like even without creating an issue because I talked with the maintainer before. I had a discussion with the maintainer before. Like I sold them on that feature. So that's how I would do it right now. So it's before what I would used to do is that I would create the issue. I would be just so sold on the issue that, oh, this feature, they gotta land it. Like there's no way. And after that issue, I would just create the PR for it. And you wake up in the morning and you see that your PR was closed. So I experienced that before. So you should not do that at that point. You should like see how if you can sell them that feature that you're going to implement. It's basically getting their consent on implementing that feature. So it's mostly about contacting folks and talking with folks. So it's more about the connection. It's more about selling that feature rather than like implementing the feature. Most of the times, implementing the feature is the easier part. You gotta convince the maintainer that, oh, our library is going to have like huge, massive adoption, and if your library would help us with that adoption by landing this feature, then we'll be so thankful and would love to like mention you in our library too, so others would use your library. And yeah, they might say yes, they might say no. So you gotta motivate them. You gotta give them a reason to land that feature. So it's mostly about selling that feature and talking about that feature. And you don't need to be like, those sales folks, oh, this feature is going to change the world and stuff. No, just be genuine. Just tell them that you're going to implement this and you would love to have it in the tool itself. And that would just work. I think most of the times being genuine and authentic would work in such contexts, because that maintainer and most maintainers do, like especially with their current state, they do not need more features, they do not need more bug fixes, because that library might just work like out of the box. Like it doesn't have to do anything to work more. It just works. So you gotta convince them, you gotta give them a reason, and you gotta make them excited too. It's basically selling them to that feature. So yeah, that's the whole process I would go through for landing a feature or a PR on a repository. And I would prefer others doing the same to me, like convincing me if that feature looks good or not. I hate just like, let's land this feature for the sake of it. I would really love to have a reason, especially like one of the things that I always say yes to when the other maintainer says, oh, we're going to implement this in our own library. So if you help us with this, it would have like massive adoption, and it would, like as a byproduct, it would help your library too. And I would just say yes, yeah, let's do it. Like no one hates more adoption, no one hates more usage. So if you can motivate them in that regard, I think it would work. So yeah, that's the total process of it. And on time management, like on your second question, man, I'm not good at it. Like these days, I've been handling like reading like papers, reading books, and like landing PRs here and there on many like repositories, especially with package PRU. I literally, if you've seen my GitHub, I fork send a PR, fork send a PR, because package PRU might fail in some repos, and I would have to like handle that as soon as possible, so the users like would be happy with the product. So it's really hard. I heard like when I talked with Amir, like the other half of package PRU, he says your time management skills are really good, like as a compliment. And if they're good, I would say it's mostly about waking up in the morning for me. When I wake up in the morning, I can do so much stuff. And one of the things that I would really love to do is that I don't leave a feature, I don't leave an issue until I solve it. So I really dedicate 3-4 hours in my calendar to that issue, and I just promise myself to finish this like as soon as possible. So I would go to the next thing based on the priority, obviously. So that's what I would do. I think using a calendar is underrated. Some say like it's overrated. It's what the tech pros do, but I don't think so. I think using a calendar and having an eye on how your day looks would really help, especially for open source maintainers. That because open source maintainers they get interrupted a lot. Like literally, my email is filled with GitHub issues, and I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to just work on each of these issues, then I would I wouldn't have worked, on the right thing, because many folks think their issue is the right issue to solve. And no disrespect, by the way. I'm just saying like the state of a
Yeah.
maintainer. Many like users think their issue is the urgent issue. So if you're going to handle all of them at the same time, you're going to do nothing. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, you would have shipped nothing. Uh, like in the next days, you would just You would just work on different things for literally like achieving nothing as a
Mm-hmm.
product. So I think it's mostly about prioritizing. Like for me, like before I sleep, I would just say, "Oh, we have these two issues. They're pretty urgent." I would say pretty urgent, not urgent, because if they're really, really urgent, I would just like solve them ASAP. But if they're pretty urgent, I would just like dedicate 3-4 hours on my calendar in the morning, and I would
Mm-hmm.
just try to solve it. After that, I would have a nap so I can reclaim back my energy. I would like put some time on the second issue if there is any. Yeah, that's how my typical days look. A calendar really helped me, and prioritization really helped me too. And actually, like having the calendar open really helps too, because that's my own experience. Like before, I would just like put some stuff in the calendar. I would never look at them for the rest
Mm-hmm.
of the day, which I don't think would help that much. You would need to have an eye on your calendar, especially every 4 hours, to see if you're going on the right roadmap that you specified for your day. So yeah, that's the
Mm-hmm.
total process I would go through for maintaining especially open source stuff. So yeah, it's just a matter of prioritization and having a calendar for me.
Yeah, great, man. I mean, I'm also a huge fan of just time blocking,
Exactly.
inspired by Cal Newport, the Deep Work book. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
it's
We are
it's
at that.
it's yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, it's well known in the industry. Um, so let's talk about Package PR New. What is it, and how is it that so many people in the open source community is talking about it? And
Yeah,
yeah, what
yeah,
is
yeah.
it?
First of all, saying that is a compliment in itself. Thank you so much. And it's basically the best project and my best work so far in my whole career. Like these 5 years I've been into web development. This is my best thing that I did. Especially I did it with my like close friend, like Amir. So that was a pretty fun collaboration. But we never actually thought it would take that off, because
Mhm.
it's a dev tool, and you never expect how the developers react to your dev tool, especially maintainers. They're really hard to convince sometimes. So that
Mhm.
it was basically scratching your own itch. For me, like working in different repos, I always had the issue of trying out a specific PR, because I would go to that PR, and like those who send that PR, they would say, "Oh, please try it and merge it." That source code is okay, but I would have to clone the repo. I would have to, I don't know, check out to their own like Git origin thing, like fetch their state, like go to their branch, build, and then I would have an access to their state of work, which it actually felt intuitive to me. So it didn't feel
Mhm.
feel that bad. But after doing that so many times, I was like, the hell what I'm doing, you know? I'm just literally having 5-10 minutes being wasted just for cloning, just for like git fetch. Like why would I do that? So so and there are like there were good solutions, kind of good solutions. Like some maintainers used to like publish an npm release with some gibberish wording, like a gibberish release tag on npm, and they would do it on every commit basically. And that wasn't good. It was polluting, and most of these releases they would have never be used again. It's literally a one-time thing. Like you try the PR, if it works, if that package works, then you land it. Then you don't need to try it again. So that was the whole motivation, and I had a contact with Eric Simons, the CEO of Stacklist. I basically told him, okay, you guys are in this industry, in the DevTools industry. Web containers have helped. That's literally what I told him. Web containers have helped users sending reproductions to maintainers, but we've never had that connection back to the user, from the maintainer to the user. So if you want to speed up this process of giving a fast feedback loop to the user from the maintainer, oh yeah, nice. From the
Apple
maintainer,
man, Apple man.
yeah, Apple is doing some stuff. From the maintainer, you would we would need to work on such a project, and I would love to see what are your thoughts. I literally sent it because Eric's opinion was valuable to me, because he is into this industry. Like he's literally the same thing happened with Stacklist. Like most of the repos nowadays have a Stacklist reproduction thing, like a field in their GitHub issues template. So the user would have to generate a Stacklist container for the issue. And I was like, this is the perfect thing for uh me to ask Eric around his thoughts on this idea. Like we didn't even have a name for it. So I just approached him, and we had a contact before. Like I had an agency, and I asked him for some guidance, and his guidance was really helpful at the time too. So I always kept that contact, like messaging him every here and then. So I just told him, and I never expected a response, because I wrote 3 or 4 paragraphs, and basically these long messages would never be read by the busy folks. But after a week, I just got back from the gym, and I checked my phone, and it was Eric. It was Eric sending me a message on mail, and I opened the preview, and it was a long message. So I said, this is not a no. This is surely not him saying no to this idea. I literally went to my computer. I was really happy. I was sure that this is a yes. Like literally, I was so happy even before reading the message. I opened the message, and he was like, "Let's do this instead of this. Like, let's not complicate it." Like I added some extra stuff to the recipe, and Eric basically told, "No, don't do that. Let's just use Cloudflare R2. Everything is simple. And let's just do it GitHub Actions and stuff like that. GitHub artifacts have their own limits, so we can't do that. We need our own kind of registry." And I was like, surely, yeah, I didn't know about this stuff. I literally searched them after the email, and yeah, I found out that that's actually true. So I was really shocked. I told him, "Oh man, this and this and this. Let's just do it," because he said, "Let's just do it." And we went on a call, and everything started from that point. So yeah, that's the total story of it. It was basically scratching my own itch. Like that's what founders say. So yeah, that's the total story of it. And I hope I can replicate this success with Package Free Audio for more projects, for more ideas, which is hard. Like coming up with actual valuable ideas is really hard. I thought it's an easy thing, but it's not. Like I haven't came up with a good idea for a while.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this is really good and inspiring.
Yeah.
and I guess on the idea part, I guess you gotta repeat the history by just
Yeah,
scratching more.
exactly,
And then like just being mindful of like the challenges that you face on a daily basis in uh, every
exactly.
repository that you're working on, and then just like doing something for it. Um, One thing that that is kind of interesting for me is that you didn't just go ahead and build package PR new. You
Yeah,
had this discussion with some of your friends, and then maybe your mentor, and then with Eric. And you kind of waited for him to give you the green light. So
exactly, exactly.
um
So
this is kind of interesting. Yeah.
yeah, this is basically having your own users kinda before like implementing the thing. It's like doing things that don't scale by Y Combinator, and it's a famous mode in the startup world, and I never actually got to understand it pretty well because I was an open source developer. I was doing my own thing, and if something gets 100 stars, you don't know if it was an actual success or not because GitHub stars don't say that much. So what I and this was my first time doing it with Package Pioneer. It was the one time one hit, you know. Uh, I said, oh, this is going to take some time for me, like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and my time is kind of valuable, so I won't do it out of the blue. Because I was always also working on other things like Tiny Libs and stuff like that. I was actually busy, so I said, let me just talk with folks. I told Amir about the idea. He gave me a green light, and I said let me try it more. I did it with other folks, and the final hit that I wanted was the Eric's hit. If such a like a valuable person to me would say yes, then I would work on it. But what I didn't expect is that them saying yes with a collaboration, like they were open to collaborate. And I message as something that, oh, is this idea interesting to you? Like, do you think is worth the implementation? And they say yes. Like he literally said yes. Eric was like, yeah, let's work on it. But that's the thing that I also replicated in my next projects and other stuff that I did. Like basically, I can talk about the next few minutes. And it just works. Like you gotta have your own users, like 3 or 4 users, or if you want to do a collaboration, like if it, for me, I prefer collaboration that rather than like doing things alone because it won't have that much joy. I literally love going on calls and saying some random stuff on the idea I have. I literally love to
Mhm.
do that. So I hate working on projects alone. So I did that with Package PR New. Uh, I just talked with folks, and the final hit was Eric's hit. And I did the same with other projects that came after Package PR New, which we're going to release soon. And it just works. Like cold approaching works, not cold mailing. You know, we together read Alex Hormozzi's what was his book's name after the offers.
$100 million leads. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, in such books they say like go message 300 folks, 500 folks, and for me like I did this when I had an agency. Like that was so bad, and I hate to say it. Like you message 100 folks, like 200 folks, and you never get a response back, and you think the issue is yourself, but the issue is that is not yourself actually, is you not putting time for the other party. So how do you expect the other party to put time for you? If you like
Okay.
send a message that you created in, I don't know, 5 seconds, you should not expect the other party to put like 5 seconds. And the other party, if they're so busy and like someone that you look up to, then it will be like decreased to 1 second. Like if you did something for 4 seconds, then they they may have to do it in 1 second then. So it's about valuing time, and I actually found out that cold approaching works, like talking with people genuinely, like authentically works. So so I recommend like any friend I have, any like connection, anyone in the open source world to just talk with others. Go approach them, go send an email. Everyone would respond if they find out that you put some time on creating your message. And if there's something valuable behind the message you wrote. And that's the thing with personal emails. Your message is literally for the other party. It's not something that you're going to sell them on a project or sell them on a tool. You just tell them, oh, I think you work in this space and that space. So I would love to hear your thoughts, like literally, genuinely. I would love to see how do you think about this idea that I just had. And most of the times they would reply and you can ask them for a call. And that's it. Like doing things genuinely would help so much. And actually cold approaching works, but not the cold approaching that many talk about. I think if you do 10 messages a day, even that's bad because it means you don't put that much time into your messages. For me, I message new folks, like 2 new folks in a week, and mostly I get responses. Like I literally go on
Mhm.
calls, discuss ideas with them, and I don't expect any return. Like being a friend, having a new friend is valuable in itself. It's more valuable than any of the projects that you're going to do are. So that's it. Just put some time on your message, on your idea, like put some attention, put some time and like effort actually, and that's it. Then they called approaching works that way. Being genuine works. Yeah. So that's the formula I learned after Package Piano, and it worked. I would say 70%, like 80% of the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think what what I know at least is that just, we have like the cold outreach versus warm outreach. And usually the thing is like for warm outreach, you have to actually get to know the other person and then like personalize the message and actually try to basically get their attention and have a genuine conversation with them. Whereas
Yeah.
with cold emails and cold outreaches, you just shooting from your hip and you don't have any expectation necessarily.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
just, but you're doing a lot of repetitions. So even if you have like you reach out to like 1,000 people, and then even if you have 1% chance of getting any
Yeah.
results, it's like
Yeah.
10 people, which might make sense in some cases.
Exactly.
Um,
But yeah, the thing is,
how,
my argument is that is that I really uh I would rather have the word of mouth marketing rather than like because by the way, I'm not into that stage even. I'm not in like some of the big company stages where they call email and they like send 10,000 messages. I'm not into that stage, so I cannot talk about it. But I would for my own tools, I really love when it's the word of mouth marketing that works because that was with that was the case with Package on you. It's like the whole growth was organic, like literally. This talking to this about Package on you, and like somehow uh the first 3-4 users got us to the 30 users, to like 20 users. And yeah, it was totally organic and it was so joyful. And you get to know what you're going to build and how you're going to approach your own tool that you just built. So it gives you some reality checks on your own tool. When you talk with folks, when it's word of mouth, everyone is excited to like create an issue on your repo. They know not many others use it. So when they create an issue, they really feel special. And you fixing the issue as soon as possible is special to them. And you so it's all that organic connection, all that natural connection that I really value. But surely that the 10,000 messages can work in companies' cases, but for me, it never actually worked. But I see it kind of working in companies and like big corporations.
Yeah. D- on a small tangent to this, do you like how do you do marketing for like I guess in some sense you mentioned this, so you don't do like how do you do self promotion and just like how do you do marketing of
Yeah.
yourself, your personal brand? Is it just I assume posting things on X and getting
Yeah.
engagement from there while also like doing this word of mouth
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah. For me, I don't know. I have bad practices that I I assume they kind of stop the growth, the the growth that I'm going to have. For instance, like creating blog posts actually works, and I don't do it because I don't like it. I love writing. I write every day basically, but I don't like publishing stuff, especially when I don't have a point to make. So
Mhm,
that's a bad practice. That's a bad practice, and it stops some of the marketing, like quote
mhm,
unquote. And my posts on X, they don't get any engagement. It's like 10 likes, 11 likes, 12 likes. And I don't put that much time into studying how like these algorithms work and how they behave. And I think they actually work. That's why I've been loving Blue Sky lately, because Blue Sky, I get so many likes. The reason is like your followers actually see your posts. And I hope that
mhm,
doesn't turn out at the next month, because
mhm,
I'm scared that the platform gets bigger and things change. But since it's open source and it has an open source nature, it might stay that way. But that doesn't matter. The thing is, for me, as someone who saw how word of mouth works and how like literally messaging people actually works, it just stops me from doing anything. Like literally, right now, anything I do is just I message people and ask what they thought. That's completely what I do, and it completely works. It's like 100% something valid. For even for the projects after Package PR New that I've been building, like Tab with Bombshell, we had a collaboration. It's actually for me it was enough. Like messaging for folks that I find their insights valuable around the like project's context. I would just text them. I would ask them if they think there's might be an opportunity to integrate this tool into their own tool, and ask for their honest thoughts. And it worked. And this in itself, if your idea is worth it, is going to market. It's like, I don't know, natural marketing. Like that maintainer, when they're going to adopt your tool into their own tool, it's going to be a huge marketing hit. Like if they just mention you in a README, then it's done.
mhm,
Their project is successful at that point. So for me, like that's the only marketing. I don't think it's even called marketing or sales or anything. It's just messaging folks, and it's been working so far. And I would love to explore the, I don't know, making blog posts or making videos, but I would rather make like 1 minute videos, because we're Gen Z. We would rather like we have it. They say we have a short uh, attention span. And I literally find this true, because I love like 1 minute videos in X, or like soon, hope we like have more in Blue Sky. I literally love them because they just say, oh, this tool does this, and it also support this. So uh, see how I did this cool thing in this tool? Here's the link, like in the next post. And
mhm,
I think that's the best way of it. And I would love to explore that route. And since I got a Mac soon, I'm going to purchase like Screen Studio, and I hope I can do more of these videos. But yeah, for now, just messaging folks totally worked for me. For me, the only issue is that we need to ship. Like we have something in the oven. We haven't shipped it yet. We haven't like got it done yet, and we only need to ship it. Actually, it's like we know there are users, we know there are maintainers are going to like use this tool in their tool. the only thing that's stopping us from releasing it is actually releasing it and like doing the final stuff, which yeah, because of like we're busy with some other things, and that's it. That's the only marketing thing that I do.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna talk with you like after this about this new secret project that you're
Yeah,
working
yeah,
on
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
releasing. Um, I do wanna wrap up with two different things. So you have Apple doing it again.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of sponsors on
Wait,
GitHub.
wait. I just
And
did this and Apple didn't react. That's so. Oh, now it did it. Oh, okay,
yeah, I mean
okay.
Apple does the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
thing, yeah.
yeah,
So you have a lot of sponsors, and when I say a lot of, I mean maybe in the whole spectrum of thing, like you probably have seen other like people in GitHub who
yeah.
have like more sponsors than you,
Hundreds.
but
Yeah,
like
like Anthony.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But like I mean, among the people that I know, you have the highest number of sponsors. So like first of all, the broader question here is how likely it is for people to make a living just doing open source full time.
that's an
Uh,
amazing
yeah.
question. It's the black box question that every open source maintainer has. For me, I think it's. I don't think you can make a living out of it from the mere like sponsors on your GitHub. Like we have Anthony, we have I don't know Matthias, all these prominent open source developers. By the way, huge shout out to like Matthias, like Parak, the lead maintainer of Vite. He's been like he helped me so much in the package PRU like roadmap, and he gave me insights that made package PRU what it is today. And he's literally giving me insights every day. So I had to give him the shout out. But on the sponsorship point, like I've seen so many developers like Anthony Fu. He has so many sponsors, but as far as I know, he doesn't make a living out of them. He's working with the Knox Labs team, and he's also he's pretty much active there. So I don't think you can make a living that easily. I think it's a hard thing to do, and for myself, I would rather have my own products that make a living for me rather than just the mere fact of sponsorships. Because sponsor, sponsors they're really kind to do that, but it's also an act of kindness.
They don't
It's
have to, right?
exactly they don't have to. It's like a streamer getting subs on Twitch. It's not something that you're forced to do.
Yeah.
So they literally, yeah, that's the whole point. They don't have to do it actually. So I would rather have a product that solves, I don't know, a business need or like a consumer need, and they rely on it so much they would have to pay for it. I would rather to have something like that because I think that's how. I mean, we don't see most of the product developers and product builders, but product building actually works because you're solving a tangible need that the user would like feels to pay for that. So I think that's why products like you get to be a millionaire from that, but not from
Yeah.
sponsors, because in sponsorship especially is that it's not tangible at all, the contributions you do. The maintainers around you, but the users of some like a higher level abstraction that your tool is here and the other tool is here. Yeah, this project gets sponsors because it's so tangible. I don't know, like there are many instances. I don't want to bring names. It's so tangible the value they provide to the user, but your tool is here. No one sees it. Like if the user is here, like they would never see your tool
Yeah,
unless
yeah.
they would have to use your tool, which at that point they're a maintainer, which maintainers already know your tool. They don't have any issues. And maintainers are not that much, we don't have like maintainer population on Earth. So it's not like something that even if they all decide to pay you like $5, you won't make a living out of it. So that's not the whole point of it. But building a product is way tangible. You would either have to build a product that is so tangible, or being on that side of the abstraction. Like being in this, especially for me, like Tiny Lips was in that side. Like it wasn't so tangible to folks. It was tangible only to maintainers. Like folks with high technicalities would know the tool. But a random user, like a random React developer, I don't know, a random backend developer might not know what you're doing with that Tiny Lips thing. Yeah, it has so many stars, but I don't care about it, It's something like that. It's all about tangibility. It's like if the user feels that your tool is valuable to them, they would pay for them. It's not of an issue that much.
Yeah, makes sense. So like, just one example, and I don't even know if that's the case, but I could see the logic making sense here. It's like, I use Expo, for example, and
Yeah.
Expo is great, but, and, I might decide to like sponsor the,
Yeah.
core maintainers of Expo, but Expo is using like 1,000
Hun-
other dependencies, like,
exactly. Yeah.
like
Like,
it's
do you know
using
them?
React and,
No, you
I
don't
don't
know them.
know. And
I
then,
don't know them. I don't know any of them. So even as a
yeah,
maintainer myself, that I love like what Expo does, but I only know Expo. I literally don't know what's going like under the hood in Expo, and I might not have to care actually. So
yeah,
it's totally the user's right to know whether they want to know about the underlying things that are going in Expo. But Expo is so tangible, like the dependencies it uses might not be that tangible. So you as a user that is so kind to sponsor, you would rather like, sponsor Expo, which makes sense because they did the whole packaging, they did the whole like bigger picture technology. So it
yeah,
kind of makes sense to pay for that, not pay for that. I mean, sponsor that rather than the other stuff like under the hood. So
yeah. I
so
mean,
one note I want to say, the new trend like with the open source pledge is so lovely. And it's
what is it?
basically, it's basically a pledge that, many companies would contribute to, and they put some money there, and this money would get distributed based on the effect, I think. Like, I think that's how it works, based on the effect of the contributions and the libraries they use or something like that. I'm not sure how it
Okay.
works under the hood, but it's so well. Like, uh, s- uh, folks like Stackbliss actually do it. Folks like Knox Labs do it. I don't know, Versal does it too. Like, they basically find an open source developer. They find their tool so valuable, they would just either hire them or like sponsor them with big amounts. So that is so valuable. I think uh, many, like we have Matthias that way. He's the Vite lead maintainer, but he's also in Stackbits. So he's getting supported by Stackbits. Or Anthony Fu, as I said, he's in Knox Labs. So that is so valuable, and I find so much sense in it. So, and I think it's going to work. Like this trend, it's basically a matter of having more companies do that. If we have more companies do
Sure.
that, then I think not most, many open source developers that are full-time open source developers or either part-time open source developers, they would get sustained. And I think that would totally work in the future, in the next year or two, maybe. I don't know. But I think that trend is going to work totally. I think it's way better than the mere uh, simple sponsorship thing. And also, there are some side things you can do, like building courses for your tools, like doing like blog posts, having a newsletter, all these like side things, which I don't like myself. Like I'm more into building, like publishing, marketing some of my own tools. I would rather have a company behind me. So yeah, it's I think that's what most open source developers prefer to. They want to do their own job. not like some distractions. So I think that trend is going to work. The open source pledge is going to actually work. That's a bet I'm going to make, which is not a bet because it's already working.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. It seems kind of it seems to be solving the exact issue that we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
The
it
yeah.
is going to take time for the open source pledge to solve that issue because it needs more
Mm-hmm.
companies. Open source pledge is going to work, but it would take time. But I think actually companies hiring the open source maintainers directly would work even more because like there's a like direct connection to that maintainer and you pay them directly for their valuable work. So I think both are going to work. The that hiring trend is going to work faster and has already worked. We need the open source pledge, the trend work too, because we need all forms of getting sponsored and getting paid for open source work. So I think all are valuable and most of them are going to work.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Um, Last thing I wanted to talk about is this really
Yeah,
you've published a blog post a while ago about um just this fear of missing out, and I
yeah.
kind of resonated with that. Like there's you, and I want to be direct here. Um, you said you posted this on X. You said local first,
Yeah,
resumability,
yeah,
RSCs, islands, type safe, routers, streaming, RPCs, edge, runtimes. That's so much. So like
yeah.
how do you just like could you explain your thinking behind this, and like what did you come up as a solution to this?
Yeah. That was so on point. The thing is, like especially in our own industry, especially front end development and like JavaScript, like in general, is that there's so much progress. There's some backward progress and there's some forward progress. I don't know, but there's so much progress happening like daily that when you check social media, you're always going to fear the FOMO, the fear of missing out, because people are actually making progress. It's not like something bad or something fake. It's like actually been like it's like happening. Wow, it's like happening in real life. So it's kind of about controlling your own mind, because at that point when I made that blog post, when I made that tweet, what I did is that I compared my own output to the general like hundreds of developers output like that is happening to Twitter. Because in Twitter, that's how I see it. I see like most of the projects that are like being published there, uh like, oh, on Twitter there was a developer that published this, like the next day on Twitter there was a developer did this, or on Twitter there was someone that did that. You compare the whole group of folks that are shipping things with you as a product developer, as like an open source developer, and that way you're never going to beat that field, because it's just a bad comparison. It's just out of point. It's just totally wrong, and you're never going to beat it. It's like fighting the wrong monster. It's like fighting the wrong enemy. It's like you cannot do anything about it unless you ignore it. That was my solution, and I used to ignore it way more. Like lately, I've been more into the news and like newsletters and stuff like that. But right now, I more like embrace it. It's more of an embracing thing. It's like I know, yeah, these are like I don't know. I follow 800 developers on Twitter, and the feed has so many other developers. Uh, and I should not compare my result as a lonely developer like with Amir, like my friend, my uh, basically the halftime, the half part of package PRU. I should not compare their results to our own result. It's like we're two fighting here, and they're like our enemy there. like hundreds of soldiers they got. It's not something like that. It's not a zero sum game. It's like some many folks uh launching things, and it's as I'm saying, it's many folks. It's not one folk. It's not that someone has way more execution capability compared to you. It's like many folks launching, and you're alone launching as well. Just do your thing, and they are doing their thing too. So you just gotta embrace it and don't compare yourself to that general public. It's like too many folks to compare. You cannot even catch up to that point.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. It's just like it comes down to like what things are under your control, and maybe like it's also nice to keep track of these like technologies.
You have to, yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, but not beating yourself up over not knowing some of them, because you realistically you're not gonna catch up.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly. It's like
yeah,
uh, it's the wrong battle completely. It's like it's a totally like not on point thing. It's completely wrong. You should not do it in the first place. And when you're doing it,
yeah,
don't expect to, I don't know, achieve something, because the more you consume doesn't mean the more you're going to produce. There's always, as you said,
yeah. My
you had
first
a
video.
yeah, I love that video. You have to have a balance. I don't think people are like mere producers that they consume 1% and they build 99%. I think that's not reality. I think there should be a balance. And for me, even, I think the consumption balance should be a bit more than the production balance, like a
Mm-hmm.
70-30 thing or a 60-40 thing, because I think you
Mm-hmm.
should consume and you should see how others are doing things. You should take like inspirations from others to build more on point stuff, like build some stuff that valuable. If others build stuff that worked, you might as well also like build something that is kind of similar to them that actually works. So I think you should consume. I think you should follow the web development, your niche news especially, and you should be active with the community. Like you should know what's happening around you, that things that actually matter. Like if a technology like got shipped like 2 days ago that is going to affect your workflow, I think you should know it. And I think you should contribute to
Uh-huh.
it. I think you should make collaboration with it. Like any opportunity that comes up, you should catch it, and you should provide your own value at that point. You should not totally miss out, because like fear of missing out is like you might actually miss out on some stuff, and you should not
Mm-hmm.
miss out. But you should also
Yeah.
understand that always consuming doesn't mean that more producing. It doesn't actually solve an issue that much. Like after a certain like threshold, after a certain point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I 100% agree. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, Muhammad, thanks for coming today. It's been an honor to have you, and also like I really enjoyed this conversation. Where
I
should
appreciate
people
you.
go if they
Yeah,
wanna be up to date with what you're doing?
yeah. Basically, the main marketing right now I do is like just write package.pr.new, like pkg.pr.new, and go
Mm-hmm.
there, explore the project. It might not be useful to you, but I would find it really valuable from you to like have a look on the project. And there you can also find me and Amir, uh, like social medias and stuff. But to find me, I think I'm mostly active in Blue Sky right now, and also X, like sometimes. But check my GitHub page. It's like github.com/AslemMammad, like ASLEMAMMAD. That's so hard.
I'm
But
gonna yeah, I'm gonna
yeah,
put it in the video description for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much. So yeah, just check my X or Blue Sky. I would rather Blue Sky. Send me a message if you have any nice idea. Let's talk. I really love catching up with folks and going on calls. Like I literally find it valuable. Like uh last night I had a call with like Mark Leventure, like the CEO of Scalar. And a few days ago I had a call with Stefano Magni, one of the kindest, and the most professional developers I know. So, and it was a totally random, like, cold messaging thing. I just I showed interest, they showed interest. Like, let's go on a call and learn from each other. I think everyone should do it. Like we need more human interaction, not just like having
Yeah, yeah.
ChatGPT on the side and writing questions and like validating stuff. That I think everyone values more human interaction. So let's just do it. So please do it. Send me a message. I would really value that.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree. Cool, cool, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for
I
being
appreciate
in.
it, man.
Yeah, yeah, we'll catch up later.
That's for sure. That's
Yeah,
for sure. We gotta do it more. I love podcast format, so bring
sure.
me more. Maybe because of me would be Lex Friedman. So no, just kidding. Just kidding. But you're
Yeah,
going to
sure.
beat Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman is nothing to you. Just kidding.
He's my idol. He's a legend, and
Yeah.
I'm never gonna
He's
beat
a
him.
legend. I love his podcast, but
Yeah,
I haven't been watching for a while. But I should catch up.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Thanks,
Thank
man.
you so much, Hirad. I really appreciate your time, like literally giving me this opportunity. It's my first time doing it, and I felt so confident and comfortable because you are like my close friend to do this. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know what would happen if
me too.
like another host would be hosting this. But I just appreciate your time and what you're doing, and I love the fact that you're experimenting with so many stuff, and you don't have the fear of experimenting, because if you don't have that fear, then you're going to achieve anything you want in your life, and you're a total achiever. I respect you.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for that kind words.
I appreciate
Yeah,
you, man.
totally.
Thank you. Let's see
Yeah,
each
thanks.
other in a while.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
cool. Cool.